No good thing will he withhold from those who walk as blameless. That's part of the blamelessness, where uh, you're doing the will of God, And when we say those whose walk is blameless, does not mean being perfect and doing everything correctly and being this upright person. It's walking in the direction God wants you to walk in. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being, getting everything right, because no one gets everything right. We've all sinned and fallen short of. That's in the Bible. That is documented. That everything we do we're already sinners. So God already knows we're messed up. He already knows we're not perfect. And we don't do everything the right way. But it kind of doesn't matter, because He's going to take even your mistakes and turn it into a positive. Everything works for good. Even your negative works for good, because the greater is stronger than the negative. And the negative will feed back into the positive. It's like you burn down a rainforest. Yes, that's a negative thing, but that allows new growth to happen. And so everything you go through, you might think it's bad, but God's going to use it to grow something else, and probably even bigger, stronger, force, so to speak. And just get that out of your mind, that you don't have to be perfect. When we say no good thing, for those who walk in ways, it's not about perfection. It's about being inside the will of God. Stay inside the will of God. Even if you do something wrong, even if your language isn't always perfect, and you say a curse word or whatever, don't beat yourself up. Or if you do something wrong, don't beat yourself up. I'm outside the will of God, and God's gonna. But those are lies. That's the devil taking a little bit of truth and spinning a web of lies in your mind, and all of a sudden you think you can't do. So he's trying to shut you down. God's gonna keep you going forward. Like the disciples, they messed up a lot. They weren't perfect people. They weren't. God took bad people and did great things with them. You look at Paul. Paul's probably one of the worst criminals out there. You think about it, like in terms of like crimes against humanity. Like Paul even says, I was not a good person. He killed Christians. But God turned that negative and says, I can use this guy to become one of the greatest Christians ever out there. And he's got all these books in the Bible. So just because you come from a bad background, come from a situation that doesn't look good, don't think God can't use it. Don't think God doesn't have a plan for you. You're just hopeless. You're just whatever. God doesn't need anything. And this is what goes back to the last video I was talking about. God doesn't need anything. He doesn't even need you to do greatness. He doesn't need anything. Everything comes from the Spirit. Everything comes from. Think about that. When you say things come from the physical things emerge from the Spirit. So when you look at God as a spirit, His Spirit is so pure and so strong, the Word can just become flesh. It can be, what I'm saying? It just turns into stuff. Let there be light. His Spirit just says, let there be. He doesn't have to say it. It's written and let there be light, but He doesn't have to say it. It just happens. So think about that. The things that you do, the things that it's where your spirit is ultimately, not in your action. God's looking at the heart and not your necessary deeds. It should turn to deeds. Don't think, I can just do whatever. But if your heart is right, you might veer a little bit here and there. But as long as you're moving in that direction, your heart is correct, your spirit is right, things will flourish around you, even if you're in a bad situation. Because think about this, if you're going in the right direction, you're in the will of God, and something does bad happen to you, well, you're inside the will of God. So God, only those things are only happening because God's allowing them to happen, not because you're trying to do your own thing. and then bad things are happening. But you're inside the will of God and something bad happens. Or even if you made a mistake, but you're inside the will of God and your spirit is right, God's going to use that thing to get you back. And it's going to be, it's going to turn something better. It's going to turn something great. So it's not not the purest form of creation. The purest form, it's God, because God is perfect. And out of that perfection, things just sprout up all over the place. But when knowing that bad works for good, and something bad does happen, just know that it might take a little longer, but that good thing is coming. So when we say no good thing will he withhold, you can bank on it, because even if something bad happens, something good's going to happen. Wherever God's going to have you in the right place, no matter what.